So I'll go through the steps now for inserting the windows particularly, but also have a look at the doors. So again, focusing on the loadable families that you'll need to use for doors and windows, but then I might also have a look at some families that you can bring in for furniture and some other things as well. So I'm just going to quickly switch over to the drawing file there so you can see these window openings that we have. And I'm not sure if they've been dimensioned all that well. In fact, I don't think they've been dimensioned at all. No. Okay, so I think in Raj's class they looked at bringing this into Revit. And that's something you can do. Has anyone worked out how to do that?
Yeah.
Changing it to a JPEG and then inserting it?
Yeah, I did it for another subject.
Yeah. So you can do that. So? Oh, for the window? Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, just where, yeah, that's interesting, where they're not drawn. Okay, so we'll look at how you can bring this in later. It's a nice thing to know, but I always like to start just by looking at how you can type in the measurements, and that's why I didn't show you how to do that. But we can definitely look at how you can bring this into Revit. But to give you a tip, it's a PDF file, and you can't insert PDFs into Revit. So if you wanted to insert it, you'd have to save it as a JPEG. But the trick is, you can insert PDFs into Autocad. So if I've got a PDF, and I know it's been drawn accurately, I'll usually bring it into Autocad, because then I can measure off that more accurately than you would if you brought it into Revit as a JPEG. So that's a little trick as well. But yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that the measurements are there, so then I don't have to do that yet. So that's good. So we get here 1,000, and then the window itself is 1,000 wide. So I'm going to go to my lower floor plan, go to architecture, and then the window tool. And you can see then that there is just one window family loaded called M fixed. And it's actually not a bad family, but it's not what we need for this. So again, let's see if we've got something here to show us. I don't think we do have the elevation on that side. Unless I'm wrong, but I think not. We can see here, it's double hung on this window here, and I'm pretty sure these others are as well. Well, that's what I'll do them as anyway. We can change them later if we have to. So again, I'm going to assume it's double hung. So I'm going to click Load Family, and then go just to the Windows folder there, and you'll see there's one called Double Hung. Now there should be an Australian version. Here we go, Double Hung 1L, which is actually quite similar. Those two families are not that different, but I'll show you the Australian one just so you can see some of the differences. So Double Hung 1L with Oz in brackets is the one I'm going to use. And then you can see it comes up with all of these preset sizes. And none of those are what we want. So I'm just going to choose one that's close to what I want. Maybe the one that's a bit higher. I don't think we've even got the sill heights here, which is not that helpful. So, here we go, we've got a sill hit there. Unfortunately it's not dimensioned. Oh, you see it's dimensioned over here, brilliant. Okay, so 800 and then 1200. Yeah. So there we are, so that's good enough, that's all we need, 800 and 1200. Okay, so again, this one here is pretty close, 1030 by 1210, but we're going to change these sizes anyway. I'll click OK, and then to put in the correct size, I'm going to go to Edit Type, and then change the name, so I'm just going to hit Rename, and I'm going to make that 1000 by 1200. And then the width there, obviously, will be 1000. And then the height, 1200. Now, don't worry that the rough width and the rough height become a little bit bigger. That's fine. So I'm just going to click OK. And then over here on the left, I'll change the sill height to 800, I think it was. Then just looking back at that drawing, going back to the plan with the spacing. So you can see there it's 1000 from the corner. So I'm going to simply place this, but as I place the window, I'm going to take the cursor closer to the outside than the inside. And it does make a difference. So I'm going to take the cursor there, you can see just to the bottom half of the wall as I place it. And then after that, I can drag this grip over to that side of the wall on the left, and then change this dimension to 1000. There we are. I'll go now to my 3D view. So I can see the window, looks okay, but I want to make some adjustments. So I don't want those glazing bars to be there. I'm simply going to select it and then click Edit Family. And, well, if anyone's had a look at this window, you might know that you can actually turn those off using one of the options in here sometime. And I'll just see, yes, they are there. I'll just show you the other one. I'm just going to close this, just because I know this window family has an option. When you go to Edit Type, there is an option here to turn glazing bars off. Oh, sorry, it's in Properties, not in Edit Type. So just over here in Properties, we've got that bars option. If you turn that off, that will obviously get rid of the bars. But if you didn't know about that option, or if it wasn't there, there's another way. So again, with the window selected, I'll go to Edit Family, and then can simply just select those lines and delete them. Oops. And then I'm going to choose Loading the Project and Close. I'll choose that option actually, Loading the Project and Close. And it's going to ask me if I want to save changes. I'm going to say no. But then when I load it into the project, I'm just going to choose this option, Override Existing Version. And it's going to bring it in with my changes even though I didn't save them. Right, so that's a really good little trick. So it shows you that there's a different definition of the family in your project file. And you can work with that. You don't need to save it in the family file, even though you're making changes there. And that's a really good option because you won't be able to save files onto the P drive, into that library. So to save that, you'd need to save it somewhere else, and it's a lot of extra steps. And if you just want to make a quick change like that, it's easier just to make the change and load it in without saving. So that's done, and now I can go into the plan view, back to my lower floor plan. And so maybe I'll use the copy tool here, just to bring that across by eye to the second window, and then I'll go and check those dimensions there, so we can see 2400 between those windows now, and I can simply adjust that measurement. See? Oh, now it's open. Oops, that's not the one I want though. That's the one. Okay, so going in now, I bet you the window on the level above, or is there a window on the level above? So, oh yes, I thought there was, yes. There's a window up here, and I bet you that one hasn't been dimensioned, but does it line up with the other one? Yes, I think it does. So I'm going to assume this window here lines up with the one below. So I want to put an exact copy on the level above in the same place. So a really good trick for that is if you select it, click Copy to Clipboard in the Clipboard panel, and then go to the plan or the level that you want that window to go to, and then click on the arrow under Paste, and then choose Align to Current View. That puts the window in the same place on that plan. So into 3D, we can see those windows there working pretty well. File. So then we've got another double hung window, and I want to give us those dimensions, maybe not. Strange way of dimensioning. And I can say that because I know the person who did it. So we haven't really got a dimension. Oh yes, we do, 400, and then 50 either side. Okay, that's good. Okay, so back to that plan. So I'm going to measure that. So from this corner here to the reference plane, yeah, 500, so my window will be 400. So back to the Architecture tab and the Window tool. So before I place my window, I'm going to go to Edit Type, Duplicate, give it the new name, 400 by 1200. I'm assuming it's the same height. And then I'll just change the width there to 400. Click OK. And then I'll place this, letting Revit centre it. So you can see there, Revit's going to show me on the right when it's centred. Because you can see there those two dimensions both stretching out to the right are both 50 mil. So I know that's centred, and again I'm going to keep my cursor to the left, not to the right. Oh, so it faces the right way, and you'll see after I place it, see how it's got this double arrow? So that shows you the side that should be the outside. So that double arrow should always be on the outside, in other words. Yep, yep. Oh, well, no, doors can go either way. Yeah. But yeah, it is true in a way, but generally, yeah, windows are the more important one. So here you can see my window. I know it's facing the right way because the arrow's outside. I press escape, and it's deselected, and I can select it again, and the arrow comes up. And in the 3D view, it's nice with double hung windows because you can easily see that it's facing the right way. So do you know with a double hung window that the sash needs to be on the top, on the outside, sorry, the top sash needs to be on the outside, and that's here, you can see what's happening. And then again, you can see the same thing with these windows. So now I want to copy that window up to the next level in the same place, and I'll show you another way of doing it to what I showed you before. So again, with it selected, copy to clipboard again. So remember, I'm not in the plan view, but I can still use the paste option, this time aligned to selected levels. And I'll choose my level, upper floor. And there we are. Oh, is it just on the top, is it? Oh, okay, right. Oh, that's a bit odd. So on one of these it showed both. Oh no, sorry, you're wrong. You are. So there we are. Okay, so I'll delete the bottom one. That's fine. And okay, so back to the 3D view. Yeah. There's something there in real life. No, it's a wall, is it? Oh, okay. I thought. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I'd seen something there. Yeah. Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, something down there, but God knows what. Okay, so yeah, we'll just do the window at top. And yeah, the other three. So this one's actually a door.
Yeah.
And that got changed to a window, did it? What's that?
Which one? On the...
This one over here. So in the plan it's shown as a window. You know,
Yeah,
but it's a door.
So
Yeah.
under that skinny window.
That's another door as well.
That's a door.
Yeah. Okay.
Under the skinny window is a door.
Right.
The gate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll leave them as windows for now, but you can easily change them to doors. That's fine. So now I do want to get some doors, and mainly fix up this one. That's an awful door, for entry door especially. So with that selected, I don't want to place a new door. I want to change it to a different door. So to do that, after it's selected, you'll see there's no load family button up the top. So what you need to do to get the load option is simply go to edit type, and then you get load. Top right there. So I'll click load. And in the doors folder here, we've actually got a few Australian doors. Well, Australian and UK doors, they're pretty much the same, and New Zealand, all the Commonwealth countries use similar construction. So Indian doors, believe it or not. And so here you can see we've got single timber frame, which is okay for your internal doors. That one's actually pretty good. But then you've got some others that are set up more for exterior doors. There are a few here, but if you go again to the Revit library on the P drive, I'm just going to use the shortcut from now on because you know where that is. And in the doors folder there, got a lot more. I'm just going to look at the photos again to remind myself what this. Yeah, so it's a panel door. Okay, so we've got here these external doors which have the panels. Oh, does it? Okay, yeah. Maybe, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a panel. Yeah, okay. So now there are doors that have the fan light included. Yeah, that'd be good if we can get that. Oh yeah, okay, so we'll use one of Max's. Okay, yeah. So somebody should have it. Oh no. Okay, I've got to load some more in there. Anyhow, so yeah, I'll get Max's, so the tube library. And yeah, so indoors there. Yeah. So that has a fan light. This one is probably closer. Yeah, that's a good example actually because there's something that we'll need to change. Let us see if this one. Still deciding, but I think I'll use this one. Make sure there aren't any others. Yeah, Revit library and then Chew. Yep. Yeah, traditional, so the full name is Chew Traditional Double French, what's it saying? Double, that's a bad name. Double French, I can't read the whole thing. So double French fan light on or off. Which one? This one. This one? Oh, it's got, no, because it's got these two. Yeah, so, yeah. No, this one's, oh, sorry, that's, so sorry, I'm blind, I'm missing that that's a French door. So, yeah, you're right, this one is closer, but it's still not what we want. So this, no, that's not the one I want either. Yeah, you can. I know he's got one that's got a fan light that's got two doors, single swing. Yeah, it's not quite it either. If I go to the top, there should be some more. Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Chew door 06 traditional single swing 4-panel with fan light. That's the one. So Chew door 06 traditional swing single 4-panel with fan light. So I'll click open and then OK. And you can see it simply changes to that door. And we'll see from the photo if we can work out which side the handle's on. Unfortunately it's in shadow, but let's see. Yep. So back into the plan view, and so you can see there it's opening the wrong way. So I'm going to click the, yep, spacebar works, and these arrows as well basically do the same thing. So if we press that one, flips it left and right, and then this one flips it forwards and backwards. So like I was saying before with doors, there's no right or wrong for the sidedness, whether it opens in or out, because exterior doors can open either way. In some cases they open outwards, in some cases they open inwards. So I've used the up arrow there just to move it to a better position in the wall. Probably should be centred, but that's close enough.
Has anyone else found the door?
Yeah, and so I'll put the name up again in case you missed it. So, okay, so it's Chew door 06 traditional single swing 4-panel with fan light. So what I might do, I'll save a copy of this into the other folder so it's easier to find, maybe. So, 'cause I'm going to make some changes to it anyway. So, yeah, so it's still selected. So I'm going to click Edit Family now. And again, we can make some simple changes to this. So orbiting around, you can see, obviously, the door from different sides. And if you use... Yeah.
Why can't they give you a wall if they can't?
Oh, it's just hidden. It's always going to have a wall in a door family or a window family. You'll always have a wall there. So if you can't see it, throws in the shortcut VV, and that'll bring up the list of elements, and you'll see then that walls probably is turned off if you can't see it. So I can see by orbiting around, probably you can work out as well which way is the outside, because we can see here that the door must open away from us because we've got this return here. So the hinge is on the other side, in other words. Remember I was saying the architrave normally shouldn't be on the outside. This is the architrave. So I'm going to delete that and just leave the door jamb. That's the door jamb, and that's the window frame, which includes its own jamb. So I'm going to leave the architrave on the inside, and that's quite common, but just taking it off the outside. So I'll save that now. Let's save as family. And I'm going to save copy into that same Revit library folder, but not into the Tudor Revit library, just into doors. And I'll call it something that's going to put it up to the top of the list. So put 2018, just so it's traditional entry, panel door with fan light. Okay, so now I'll load that back into the project, and then you can see it's trying to get me to place another copy of that door. So I don't need to place another one. I'm going to press Escape and select the door that I'd placed earlier. And now going into the list here, I can choose the new one. So here, that's the new name, 2018. And I'll choose the second size there. So it's going to be a bit larger than what I've got, but still that's okay. You can see that I've got the architrave on the inside, which is fine, but on the outside we're not going to have it messing up our elevation. There we are. So really by rights the door jamb itself should come back. You can see here in reality that there's a return or a gap between the door jamb and the wall, and that can be added later, so that's just a matter of adjusting this family further, but that's something you can definitely do later on, just to get that nice gap, but it's one of those little things that worry about if you have time. And so then for the other doors, just try to find doors that are appropriate. So for your internal doors, I'll just go back to lower floor, and I'll very quickly just draw in a wall so I can place a door into it. So for your internal walls, just use either a generic 100mm wall or one of the stud walls. I'd probably actually use one of the stud walls instead of the generic one. So stud timber 90. And I'll just make sure the level is set to upper floor and just quickly rough in some walls, just so I can put an internal door in. So again, using the door tool, and then load family. This time I'll just go to the doors folder and get one of those Australian doors like, which one again? So this one, single timber frame Oz. Let's place this in here so you can see how different it is to one of those American doors. So I'll put in one of the American ones next to it so you can see the difference. So you can see how there are little graphical differences between the two, particularly again when it comes to the jambs. So the door jambs there are shown. That's a really important thing with the Australian doors that the American ones don't have. Also the way they show the door going from the hinge is different, And again, in 3D, that door would have an architrave, which we don't want, whereas this door doesn't. So if you look at that in 3D, you'll see, in fact, I'll bring back the other door, so you can see them both. Again, if you look at those in 3D, so there's the American one with that boxy architrave. This is the Australian one, which actually does have the architrave showing. And it is, you can see there, giving you some different options. So we can just set the timber door jamb option there, which gives you a nice clean architrave. Yeah. So you can see the difference. So that's, again, an important thing with Australian and UK and New Zealand and all those places that don't show architraves usually, to have that option to either just not have an architrave or at least use this option here, which is really cool, having that option to just choose the door jamb option for the architrave profile.
Yeah, it's really easy.
It is, but you have to make a special change in your family. So what you have to do is set up a 3D door that can rotate. And it's doable. I've got a couple of families set up just to do that. So for when I'm doing animation, I can do that. And there is a trick to it. You need to use what's called a reference line and then tie your 3D door to the reference line. It's a bit of a process. And you find most people don't worry about it because you generally want the 3D door to be closed and the one in plan to show the door swing. And then well, if you're doing animation and you're doing a lot of it, you'll probably use a program like 3ds Max where you can rotate it a bit more freely anyway. But yeah, it is possible. I'll dig out up an old tutorial that shows how to do it, so I'll grab that for you. Okay, so again though, with the doors and the windows, it's a really good chance just to go over families, try and load in some families from different libraries. So have a look in, especially the Chew folder, to see if you can find a door that's going to work well for the one that goes onto the balcony here. And then also you might find for the door that goes into the backyard that you might want to use one of those larger doors. So again, let's show you another family. So again, using the door tool and load family. I'm going to go again to the doors folder here without going to any special libraries, and you've got these sliding doors, which again you can see all have Oz in brackets, so they're all Australian. So again, use that sliding door 4 panel. And so this is a good one where it's probably better to keep the cursor closer to the outside. So I'm saying that's the outside of the building to Revit, and that way the panels that slide go onto the right side. And this door is pretty good even for timber sliding doors. It was set up originally for aluminium, I think, but you can easily change the material to timber. So you can see there, it's actually got a brown colour already. Maybe it is timber. So if we go to edit type, you can see there's a sliding door frame material. You can hit browse and see. Okay, so it's just brown, but it's not timber. So it's a good chance maybe to quickly go over materials. So I'll duplicate that material. Or, no, in fact, I'll give it a better name. So I'm just going to right click, instead of choosing duplicate, I'll choose rename, because this material probably isn't being used by anything else. And I'll call it timber door. And then I'll just go to appearance and replace, right clicking and then replace. And then in the appearance folder, I'll just get one of the solid wood materials, birch. Yeah, that'll do. Back to graphics. And I'm actually happy with that. Oh no, I'll change the colour just so you can see the difference. So I'll use render appearance. And that's it. So I'll click OK, and then OK, and different colour. And in realistic, we'll see the timber material as well. So lots of door and window families that you can load. And for a project like this, you shouldn't really need to make your own. But when it comes to furniture, you may need to. But you might find, again, something that's close to what you want. So just very quickly using the component tool, place a component, and then load family. This time we'll go to the Revit library P drive, and then in the furniture folder, there, you've got quite a few lounge chairs. And, oh no, I put the better ones into another folder, so that's in Revit City Furniture that I've downloaded. I've got some better lounge chairs. Here's one, there's another one that's even better. That one's okay. Got some others though. Oh, no, that one's okay, I'll just use this one. That's some others. And so especially for a space like this, a chair or two can really help to give you an idea of scale. And you can see what a small and constrained space it really is. I'd be struggling to get a decent lounge in here actually, but maybe going this way. Yeah, it'd have to be one of those horrible lounges with TV on the wall over here maybe. That's all you can do in a space like this. But at least then you start to get an idea of size once you've got some furniture in there. And obviously it's the same for all the other families, so if you're going to try doing your bathrooms. So again, just using component, load family, and then I'm just going to go to the plumbing folder this time, and then architectural fixtures and water closets, and then this one I just want to show you quickly because it's hosted. So it's a commercial toilet which has the cistern recessed into the wall or concealed in the wall. So you need a wall to place this toilet or this WC. So I'm moving the cursor into the empty space where there are no walls. And once I go near a wall, then you can see it, and I can place it obviously up against the wall. So just keep an eye out for hosted families like that. And so have I told you about the sites you can use to get bathroom families? I think I might have mentioned a couple. No? Yeah. 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 So on your own computers, you can even install the Chroma ribbon. So if you go to the Chroma website, there's a little link to install their add-in, which gives you a tab up the top here for Chroma that works really well. But even without that, you can download families directly from their site, and the same with others. I think I gave you even a list of bathroom manufacturers. Oh, it was in construction, was it? Yeah, okay, sorry. That's my fault, okay. So I'll see if I've got the list here. I've got this somewhere else, but I'll dig that out. And yeah, so have a look for those things. Though, if you can just go and search for Revit families, it's a good thing to try. Or if you're looking for bathroom, Revit bathroom families. And let's see, here we are. Chroma comes up straight away. What if others do as well? Yeah, Chrome is one of the better suppliers for Revit things. There are others. Here we go, Kohler. Looks like they've got, it's the Canada one, but I'm sure that's the same as the stuff they sell here. So maybe just to finish off, I'll show you a basin because they're often ones that you might want to modify. And that's really where we get you to start looking at how you can modify families that you've been given. So with the the plumbing folder, so I've gone to the Revit library shortcut over here, and then plumbing fixtures, and you can see here we've got a lot more to choose from. And then if we go to basins and sinks, there are more again. Basins anyway. And so I'm looking for this oval one. That's the 2D version. I want the 3D one. Well, actually, maybe I'll just grab this one. That one's pretty good, actually. Yep. Okay, so this is a corner sink. So I'm going to press space to rotate it, and then I can place it. And then maybe I can look at changing this door to a sliding door, which I'll just do that quickly and I'll come back to the basin. So that door there, I do want to use, but not in that location. I'll maybe change this one to that better door that I've loaded. So this door I want to change to a sliding door, so I'll just quickly show you a good one you can use, again in that Revit library on the P drive. In the doors folder there's one I've made called door cavity sliding. Yeah. So the only problem is I've set it up mostly for the fine display. So if I change it to fine, then you'll see it actually shows the door. I'm going to fix that because that's always annoyed me. I did mean to have the door showing in all displays. So I'm just going to change this, and then I'll load it, and then the one you get will have
Which library is that?
the Revit library on the P drive. So I'll save that, and so now when you load it, it'll show the door in course as well. So I'll just prove that too. If I go back to course, the door's still there. So I'm going to flip it and then move it. And it's really nice when this is where Revit really is a great program, because you can see there, because it's got the cavity in the wall, I can see how far I can move it before I hit or run into a problem. Okay, so then, so I want to fix this basin. So that basin there, again, if I go to Edit Family, right, and so then you can look at that and see if I wanted to maybe try and make it smaller. I can try modifying using the solid modelling tools that we've been looking at with Model in Place. So it'll be a bit of work. So I'd have to start with this piece here, which is a void revolve. So I'd have to edit that and make this a bit smaller. Don't want to go too far with this, but just to give you some idea, you can modify all of these things. So I've made the sink a bit smaller, and now I can make the outside piece also a bit smaller. Okay, and that would involve basically making this part come across a bit. I don't want to go too far into these steps because it takes a long time basically, but yeah, that's too far. Let's try 30. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I've just made that a bit smaller. going to make sure in plan that it matches up. So this is good for you to see. You probably don't want to go too far making changes in this way, but it's, I think, a good thing for you to see that the lines there are different to the 3D. And that's where people can get confused when you go to start modifying families that have been made by someone else. It's going to help you when you realise that there are the 3D elements, which is again what I've just modified. So that is smaller. But you can see then that these black lines over the top, they're 2D lines. So that's what we see in plan. So I've got to now make those a bit smaller as well. So I'm just going to quickly do that. So I brought the lines in, and now that's a spline, so I can't offset that. I'll have to, oh, it's not a spline, what is it, a region? Yeah. Anyhow, so I can offset that now. There we are. Done. Okay, so I'll save this, so if you want to use it, it's going to be on the P drive, so I'll call it smaller corner sink. So I'll load that back in and go back to my floor plan, and so now I've got a choice. I've got small corner sink and then smaller corner sink, which is slightly smaller. Okay, so you can modify all of those families to your heart's content. It's one of the best things about Revit, that you've got total control over all those family files. Still a bit better. So make sure you are continuing to research other good sources for Revit families. I think I mentioned most of them to you already. Revit City, BIM Object, Modeler, there are lots of others as well. And so, as well as those, of course, we've got the ones that you've been using off the P drive. And so you can always modify families that other people have made, of course. And then maybe once you feel comfortable, you could try even making your own families. I'm not going to go through that now, but basically you can do that on the main menu when you go to New and then Family. And it'll bring up a list of all of these templates, which can be a little bit overwhelming. But they're essentially, you need to know what sort of family you're trying to make. So if you're trying to make a furniture family, use the metric furniture template. If you're not sure which one to use, avoid those with names or that mention things that you're not sure about. So you can see here it's got metric furniture and then metric furniture system. So the better one to use would be metric furniture. If you want to use a generic model, then there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 or 10 that say metric generic model. But only one of them says metric generic model with nothing else. So the others, metric generic model wall-based, metric generic model 2-level, and so on. They're for doing more complicated things. Metric generic model pattern-based is something you won't need to use for a long time. So again, just look for the ones that have the simpler names. And we'll go through this again later, because I want to get you to make at least 1 or 2 families from scratch, but later. But apart from that, it's a good chance just to get in as many things as you need for your design. And with interiors especially, it's really important that you can source elements, particularly furniture, that you can then insert into your own projects. And doors and windows come under that as well. So the final thing I'll say there is that, again, if you have anything that's repeated, think about using a family for it. So again, coming back to what we made with model in place, that roof there is an example of a unique one-off element, and that's where you should be using model in place. But if it's repeated, as these windows are, then you should definitely be using a loadable family. And the two different schemes give you the same options. So model in place gives you the same options as you have with a loadable family, and a loadable family is simply one that's stored in its own file. Now, just to finish up, I'll show you what the extensions are. You're probably already looking at this, but just to make sure it's clear, well, I'll just test to see actually if you do know. When you save a project file, what's the extension? Close? RVT, yeah, sorry. So RVT is the extension for project files. When you have a project template, it's RTE, but yeah, normally it would be RVT. And then what about family files? That was the other one you mentioned? RFA, it's family. So Revit family, RFA, and then they have their own template, which is RFT. But again, normally RFA is what you'd be using. So with model in place, it stores the family in your project file or your RVT file, whereas with a loadable family, it saves it as a separate file with RFA. So when you go to download from, say, Corona, thought I had it up. Let's get it here. So on the Corona site, I'm pretty sure they say what the extensions are. You can see here, I mean, even before it's loading up, you can see there the name of the web page is specifycorona.com.au bin library /RFA. So that tells you straight away their Revit family files. So I'm not even going to wait for that to load, you can see that. So quite often it won't even say Revit or families or anything, it'll just say RFA. But as long as you know that means Revit families, you can obviously use them. I'll give you a little while to try those things. I'll come back to maybe look at stairs later. But we'll look at that so you can put some stairs in for your design as well, if you haven't already.